My name is Todd Nowak, and I am from Iowa. We actually started the Peer Rest because of a thought and a dream that came to my head. Our state shut down 2 institutions and said that they were going to funnel money back into the integration of community-based services. So I thought that, hey, a peer respite is a great way to start that. I went to my 5-county region, and they are funding a lot of the crisis services. And I explained to them what a peer respite was, did some presentations, and I also went to our main hospital, the philanthropy, and approached them and said, hey, I think this is not a one piece, right? Not one organization, not one person wants to fund peer respite. And both of them, the region and the hospital, said, well, who should fund it? And I said, well, if you have neighbors on each side of you, them. If you have church members, them. If you have an employer, them. Because mental health affects everywhere, right? But I think that if we're shutting down 2 institutions, we should really look at using that money for some points that won't have to cost us more money. Because I don't know about other states, but what I see here in Iowa is we are so worried about that crisis, like I said, that we are funding the higher dollar cost that sometimes doesn't give us the output, the outcomes of what we need to be able to move people further in their recovery and live a life that they want, to be well, live well, and stay well. We're telling them what they need by funding them higher cost at times. And so when we think about peer respite, that's the beginning, right? And I often say to my region and other funders, I think of this as going out in the middle of a cornfield in Iowa and building a 2-story house. You have to build at least 12 steps to get to the 2nd story. Do you leave off step 1 through 6 and just jump up to step 6? No. So why are we just funding them higher cost services that, again, continue to put them Band-Aids on people and not heal within? And they really had, there was some stigma around it, but able to bring in the Kia House and do a presentation statewide, because we wanted even the state leaders in DHS to see this. And, it's taken 3 years, well, actually about 4 to 5, but now, where are we now? We are at a point where there's a grant for state peer-run organizations to do peer respite. And that's what we wanted, right? One of the other pieces that we did was we thought it would be important for legislation to change, right? And who can make them policies. So I connected with a local senator, and actually that senator took the bill that was from Wisconsin and kind of formatted it in her own words and took it in to have a bill passed to fund peer respites. Unfortunately, that did not happen because I was called to the Human Services Committee at the Senate side. And when I went to present to them on the peer respite, what I found out is they didn't even know what peer support was. To come and find out, they didn't even know that their state was funding peer support. So, I've learned a lot in the last 12, 14 years. But one thing I know is sometimes our funders don't even know what it is they're funding. And for me, it's important to capture them outcomes, right? To see what that person was like when they came into the respite, to see where they were in the middle of that stay at the respite, and to see where they are at the end of the stay at the respite, but to continue. And that continuous is that piece on follow-up. And it, a prime example that I like to use is in 2019, somebody used an inpatient unit 9 times. And since coming to us in January of 2020, has not yet gone back to an inpatient. Now, is that because of us? I don't think it's because of us. I think it's because of that person. But I think that we really were assistants with that.